Hey everyone, so I wasn't quite sure what to do about this video. It's been about a month. I kind of took a break because simply it was the holidays and everything, and I was kind of out and about doing things and also kind of staying indoors. And there's just, I'm not quite sure where to go with some things at this point, so this is just kind of a random blog of video game stuff that I'm kind of doing at this point in time and some things I've come across. The whole Dreamcast thing is pretty much done for the most part. There are a couple things that I'm still relatively hunting for, but it's probably going to take a while before I see it because they're kind of outrageously expensive and really hard to find. One being that yellow VMU. Every time I see that, it's like anywhere between $50 to $100. Even at conventions that I go to, it's really kind of strange to even come across those. Um, so this it's just kind of what's happening. Kind of recently, though, speaking of VMUs, I did happen to come across one of these multi VMU, or not even VMU. It's a memory card though for the Dreamcast, which holds like 4 VMUs equal into one. These are getting kind of really expensive and hard to find even on eBay now. They go for like $30 to $40 just for these, which in some cases, I mean, that's kind of, I'd say that's average. It's a fair price. You're paying for 4 memory cards, so about $10 each in this, but they're getting kind of really hard to find, and it's been kind of on my list to kind of track one of these down just as another accessory. At the same time, I also happen to come across the once in a time kind of chance here, but I managed to find a Japanese Sega Dreamcast in the box. And I kind of splurged and got this because I was like, there's no way I'm going to find another one of these like this. The box is in okay condition. It's got some like dents in it and stuff, but it's which is kind of odd that it's actually in English on the back side. I mean, I don't know how much you can see there, but it's in English. But not much to it other than the fact that it looks just like a regular American Dreamcast, other than the stick on the bottom and the fact that it reads different games. And kind of the plan for this was I have a couple Japanese Dreamcast games, and I'm interested in getting a couple others. One in particular being Fighting Vipers 2, which was never released here in the U.S. It's a fairly cheap game, about $25, give or take, which isn't bad, especially for an import. But kind of curious just to see what it's like, and I'd like to do that. Plus, play some of the other import games I have, such as Guilty Gear X. So without having to do the swap discs for the American version. So that was kind of cool. Also today, Sega related that came in was another vinyl from Datadiscs. And I skipped over the Shinobi one because I never really grew up with Shinobi, never really played it until like the collections later on. And Super Hang-On was one of the cool racers by Yu Suzuki. And this particular record, they ripped the sound directly from the arcade, which is kind of cool. This one's got kind of a neat cover to it. You have your OBS strip, obviously, but this is kind of indented. I don't know if you can really see it, but as I pull this out, you'll see it. It'll change colors and give that original screen. On the back side, it just kind of gives you the map that you'd see when you normally play the game. But this one in particular, this is the limited edition one, and I think it's still available. But here's the back side, which is your Hang On Start Classic, which is kind of cool. And then your other side here, which you saw earlier. And then for the limited edition, they changed the scheme on some of the original prototypes they had. It was like 3 different colors of red, white, and blue. And I guess it didn't work out very well. I'm not sure. They didn't really explain that much. But with this one, they kind of made a splatter effect, which is really still kind of cool. It's kind of neat. I mean, that's kind of, even under the light, that's kind of neat looking. Kind of a transparent with splotches. Looks really cool next to the Streets of Rage one. So, kind of cool stuff to keep out. And of course, I still don't have a record player either, which I'm still trying to get a hold of. So that was kind of fun. Kind of unique collectibles, I guess. As far as everything else goes, I mean, I've kind of decided that I'm going to commit to doing this whole Vita thing. In fact, I actually found a checklist. And this is online if you actually look for it. This one is actually not updated. It's missing the Trails in the Sky Cold Steel edition that just came out. but for the most part, it's pretty accurate for all the physical releases that they had. And it's kind of mind-boggling. I mean, some of these are getting really difficult to find, and like there's one YouTuber I watch. He calls a lot of the special editions the stupid editions, which is really kind of fitting, I think. For the most part, there's for the Vita especially, the physical versions that are harder to find only came in special editions and they weren't released separately from them. So you paid the extra price for a bunch of junk that really you're not going to need. I mean, yeah, it comes with some cool art, maybe an art book or such, but in the end, really, as you look at these games, at least in my perspective or opinion on this, those collectibles really just sit on a shelf, really. So it's just the physical games and the cases really that kind of appeal to me. But and for instance, like this one's one of the harder ones to find, and it's getting up there in price, is the Arno Surge one, which is only released here in America with the special edition. And then of course, for the most part, it's like you look at these other games too. It's like I kind of feel bad that the fact that Target and Walmart are kind of clearancing them out and they're no longer really carrying any of the new games. Best Buy kind of gets hit or miss really with some of the new releases. Like they have it for here, especially in my town, they have a lot of the Corpse Party special editions, but they maybe have like one copy of Lego Jurassic Park and one copy of God of War collection, and then that's about it. Maybe like I think MLB 15, which is only not even really a physical one, which is also another thing that irks me. Is there's two Vita cases that were released physical, but it's just the case, and you get a download code. And I think MLB 15 was one, and then Minecraft was the other one. So you're spending $20 basically for this box to give you a code to download the game. And in most cases, these games kind of go on sale, or if you have PS Plus or whatever. So it's like, well, what's kind of the point? So I'm not really including that for my collection in particular because I'm not worried about having empty cases sitting on a shelf. Yeah, sure, it's got the art for the game, but who gives a crap? There's no game in it. Don't want it. But then you have like you have these limited prints like from Limited Games, Breach and Clear. As cool as they are, and they're really cheap. I mean, this one was only $25, and I think the next one they're releasing, the Saturday Morning RPG, are like $25 too. But there's only so many copies, and once that they're gone, that's it. And I missed out on Retro City Rampage, which I didn't learn about it until at the very end when I think it was the day that they went on sale, and then they sold out because of all the pre-orders. So, and then you get some of the odd ones too. Like there's some Amazon exclusives such as Steins Gate, which is still fairly cheap. It's a $20 game still on Amazon, but you don't see them in stores. And then you have the ones that do come to store, which have limited print. Like I'm sure most people are aware of like Devil's Third that just came out on the Wii U. Rumor has it only 420 actually made it or was distributed through GameStop. That's not to say like Amazon has like a couple copies they're sitting on, or if they're going to make reprints or whatever. But it's really hard to find, and it's going for a high price on Amazon and eBay and all that. So for me, it's like either you pre-order at GameStop or you pre-order on Amazon or wherever to kind of secure those copies. One of those is like Earth Defense Force, which I've rarely seen. I mean, you can still get it available at most stores, but there's only like I think nearby me, I've only seen it at 2 other stores. So there's those type of things that kind of I guess jerk my chain about this. It's like the Vita is becoming a little more difficult to really collect for than I thought. But then again, I also find some really good deals. A lot of the sports games even if Best Buy carries them or GameStop still has them in stock, such as like the FIFA games. I managed to find one at a Toys R Us. They were clearing them out for like $5. So there's things like that I do come across, which is great. And it's always your mile may vary because I went to one Toys R Us, got a couple games for $5, and then turned around and drove about 20 minutes to another Toys R Us who supposedly they kind of have the same stock, but the FIFA games were still $20 there. So it's like it saved me $15 to go to this other one, but they only had a few copies, and they're like, well, apparently they're not selling well, so they're getting rid of them. So it's kind of an interesting little gig. So far, there's 46 physical games that have been released so far here in the U.S., and it's been Vita's been out for about 3 years. So already you're at half of what the Dreamcast US releases were, which is kind of interesting. Um, Next year, or coming up here in 2016, I guess there's going to be quite a few releases. So I'm sure the library is going to grow more, but kind of after that, I have a feeling it's going to again trickle out, and then we won't hear much out of the Vita anymore. So, kind of a cool challenge. Kind of a love-hate relationship, really, for me. I love hunting for them, and I love grabbing them when I can get them for really cheap. Between $10 seems to be kind of a sweet spot for me that I find most games at. Aside from new releases I want, then they're around the $25 to $30 range, or even $40 if they're crazy stuff. Those usually I kind of wait on until they drop in price. But then again, in some of those, because the GameStop even themselves has limited stock of them, there's no guarantee that that game's going to sit there and it'll sell out. And then sometimes the games just do sit there. Dungeon Travelers 2, I think, is one that comes to my mind that I see those copies all over the place here. And it may not be the same for you or anywhere nearby, but just kind of curious things. So, and I'm rambling, so sorry you guys had to put up this, but just kind of a vlog update of what's happening here. If people are interested, I could do kind of a pan through of what ones I have, or if you pause at the right moment to check out the checklist that I managed to pull off the internet, you can kind of see the ones that I've gotten so far and which ones I'm missing. So I think kind of my priorities right now are to try to get the harder to find games. I'm going to have to kind of uh, end up having to go to eBay for Retro City Rampage DX for the Vita, and probably a couple other places to find some of the other ones that are harder to find, a little more expensive. But once I get those out of the way, I'm going to kind of sit back and wait for more clearances to kind of come through and price drops, and kind of keep an eye on things. So gradually the prices are coming down on these. I really don't believe that the Vita games themselves are really worth the $30 or $40 they're asking for. Um, I think the 20 is kind of a good spot for new games, 10 being used. It's kind of my happy place, really. Anything beyond that is kind of maybe, but yeah. So I'm gonna quit jabbing. That's kind of what's going on for right now, and maybe if I make a new intro, maybe I'll come up with something like the Vita Quest or Vita Hunt or something to kind of go along with the Dreamcast gig, and kind of go from there. So yeah. That's it for now, guys. As always, appreciate you putting up with my rambling and random thoughts. And maybe we'll see you soon.